Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to discuss this morning. What a morning. Solskjaer sacked. Harry Maguire no longer the captain. It's going to be Bruno. Ronaldo's coming back and Messi's going to play centre CDM. I mean, of course, we are not going to do that shite on here. I can't believe people still do that shite. It is April Fool's for the next few hours. We're not going to give you any April Fool's stories. Everything we're talking about this morning is actually in the news. God, I can't be arsed with it. I cannot be arsed with that stuff. Everybody knows it's April Fool's, so why try and do something? But look, we have got some news for you this morning. We've got quite a lot of this news this morning. We're talking about Varane. We're talking about Donny van der Beek. We're talking about the centre-back situation. Ollie wants a CDM and what that means and why he wants one, what that could mean for Van der Beek as well. Transfer budgets, so lots and lots of real stories to get into this morning. And I hope you're all doing very, very well. Woo! A bit of a Ric Flair there. Woo! International break in the bin. Get in the bin. Get in the bin with the flip lid where we just knock it down. Just think the next international football with the Euros, which is actually half palatable. Premier League football, Europa League football, wall-to-wall Manchester United football every 3 or 4 days until the end of May. Cash back. Love it. Absolutely love it. We're back. And I love this day. I love the day after the international break is over because it's exciting. But also, as we know, there is some things to pick up from this international break. I think Donny van der Beek comes out of it even more confused, not playing many games for Holland at all, coming on as a sub and scoring the other night, but not massively involved. Varane, talk about what Real Madrid are going to do. Also, this story coming out from The Athletic that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants a centre defensive midfielder, an elite controller, which is basically, it's not like the Fat Controller from Thomas the Tank Engine, if you know, you know. An elite controller in the midfield is basically what you've been talking about for months. A centre defensive midfielder who will take the ball off the back four, conduct the game, and allow the person next to them to become a box-to-box player. So that if you had this elite controller, you could have Pogba, you could have McTominay, or you could have Van der Beek in a position where they support that elite holder, but they get forward and support Bruno more. The dream midfield thing. Exactly what Ollie did when he first came into the club with Matic, Herrera and Pogba. And exactly what he did last summer with Matic, Pogba and Van der Beek. Which, to be fair to Solskjaer, he has done it twice in his most successful periods at the club. So I think to say Solskjaer doesn't want to play one elite holder is unfair. I just don't think he's got one. We'll talk about that as well. But let's talk about the Euros have not been cancelled. It's just another April Fool's story that Prats are falling for. So let's talk about Donny van der Beek. There's a story in Tuttosport, which is Italian, talking about him this week, leaving Manchester United. Now, there's another story this morning from Italy that Manchester United would look to swap Donny van der Beek for Rabiot at Juventus in a swap deal. Now, this is quite interesting because, again, it's another story of Donny van der Beek leaving Manchester United, and it's coming from Italy. We had the Inter Milan stories in January. We're now getting these stories of a swap deal. I think there's loads of clubs that would love Donny van der Beek, not just in Italy, across Europe, because he's a good player. However, I don't think at this moment in time that there is any truth to this story. I don't think it's as clear-cut as some of the stuff that comes out United. United's official line is that Donny van der Beek's not for sale. He's part of the squad. He's training fantastically well. He's a well-appreciated, well-liked player who's happy at Manchester United. That's the story till the end of May, and that is the truth. Until the end of May, Van der Beek is a Manchester United player who is valued and is happy at the club, and they're happy with him. But the summer will dictate many, many things. Will Pogba stay? Will Van der Beek get a chance next season? Where will he get a chance next season? How does he become a first-team player at Manchester United when he's not even had a glimpse of being a first-team player in his first year? You'd expect it to get harder. So I think at the moment, talks of Van der Beek leaving Manchester United are probably safely parked in the area of, I wouldn't believe it. Having said that, I think a lot of things are going to change in the summer. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. However, the thing I do want to talk about, I am going to do a bit of Grand Theft Auto as well, yeah, Curry. But the thing I do want to talk about is that from The Athletic, there's a few things they're talking about. But this elite holder that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is apparently looking for in the midfield, a centre defensive midfielder. Now, we'll talk about the centre back situation because we've been linked with this Mancini from Roma, which I think is bloody ridiculous. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But I just want to talk about Harry Maguire from last night. I think that's well worth talking about, and Varane as well. But talking about this elite holder, this encourages me because it's the first time we've generally heard that Manchester United are looking for a centre defensive midfielder, and I will cling on to those crumbs like anybody's business, because the general noise has been nothing about a centre defensive midfielder. Admirers of Declan Rice, but that's about it. It's a centre back and it's a striker. Now, the fact that with The Athletic, Laurie Whitwell, he is a Manchester United correspondent. Whatever you think about whether he's reliable or whether he's a mouthpiece for the Glazers or whatever, I don't care what people say. There's no doubt that he gets to ask questions in the press conference, and I think people who get to ask questions in the press conference tend to have a connection with Manchester United's communications. So Laurie Whitwell talking about Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanting a CDM elite holder. This is great. And he's not talking about a cup holder for his car. I'm fed up of spilling my coffee going around the corner. I need an elite holder. Not you want a CDM? No, a coffee cup holder. But the point I'm trying to make is that this is a position that we all know needs to be filled, and this is a position that hopefully will be filled this summer. But the interesting thing about this, and the article itself even says, there is a feeling at Manchester United that if they bring in an elite holder at Manchester United, then that could get the best out of Donny van de Beek, which is exactly what many of us have been saying for a long time. There is this elitism in football around people like Donny van de Beek, that he's a number 10 and he's only a number 10. And this is absolutely absurd, because he's not just a number 10. He can play anywhere in the midfield. And I've played football, I've coached football, I've watched football. I'm sure many of you have. And the reality is, some players you've played with, you've watched, you've coached, they can play a number of positions. They have a best position, but they can play a number of positions. For me, Harry Maguire is a centre-back. If you played him at left-back or centre defensive midfielder or box-to-box, he'd look a complete prat. If Marcus Rashford is a striker or a left-winger, if you played him in the CDM position or centre-back, he'd look a right prat. Paul Pogba, I think Paul Pogba could probably play 75% of positions. Probably centre-back, maybe centre-forward, he might struggle, but I think he could fill in at full-back. Same with Bruno Fernandes. Some players, just that they could do a job in most positions. Some players are specialists. Donny van de Beek is a player that can play multiple positions. He can play anywhere in the midfield, box-to-box, number 10. He can play right midfield, left midfield. And I think he can play in a pivot as long as he's got the elite holder with him. That's where I think Donny van de Beek can play. Do I think Donny van de Beek can play effectively with Scott McTominay? No. Do I think he can play with Fred? Probably not. He's not like Pogba who can do that. But if you give him a Michael Carrick, which he's not going to get, but you give him a Declan Rice, you give him an Ndidi, you give him a Kante, you give him a Fabinho, then I think Donny van de Beek can become a very, very good player next to that. And I think that is maybe what Manchester United are hinting at. Maguire looks a prat at centre-back 60% of the time, says Gabriel Noel. Well, I thought Maguire played well last night, but we'll talk about that. So, look, I really hope something happens with the centre defensive midfield position, because if Paul Pogba's going to leave, and at the moment I think you've got to pack his bags, not for him, but I think in your mind you've got to imagine Pogba packing his bags and going, because this is not looking like it's going to go well with Manchester United. Interestingly enough, I don't know whether anyone follows him on Twitter, at LDM Jones, Mac the Knife. He put a tweet out last night, which I called out as bullshit, but to be fair, he did message me about it, and he said, no, this is the rumour that Ed Woodward's going to be removed from Manchester United this summer, that there's a summer of upheaval coming, and that effectively things could probably get worse before they get better. Behind the scenes, there's some disruption at Manchester United. Obviously, Nicky Butt leaving caused problems. There was a bit of an issue around the sponsorship and when that was revealed, and that it might be one mistake too many for Ed Woodward. But also amongst that conversation, Paul Pogba gone. So, and De Gea potentially going as well. So there's a lot of upheaval at Manchester United coming this summer. And I think to focus on the positives of bringing players in, there could be huge change at Manchester United. Do I think Ed Woodward should be removed? Yes. Do I think he will be? No. I've got nothing personal against Ed Woodward. I don't think he's particularly good at his job, but the reason I don't like Ed Woodward as our CEO is because he's got no idea about football, and he's made 8 years of bad decisions, or he's overseen 8 years of bad decisions. And I don't care whether you manage your local McDonald's, or you're managing a massive bank, or you're managing Manchester United. When you actually look at the last 8 years, the CEO should be replaced. Like Chelsea would have done it, Man City would have done it, Liverpool would have done it. most decent clubs would have replaced the CEO, because he has sat over a piling, festering, steaming turd, and it's not been good enough. So I don't think there's any rumours. I don't think Ed Woodward will be replaced, but he probably should. Well, there's no probably about it. He should be replaced. He's replaced 4 managers for being incompetent, and yet he's the man still replacing them when he's been incompetent. He's the captain of the ship, and the ship has run aground. I'm afraid. Just wanted to say Koundé will cost 60 million max, so just need to negotiate it down if the board are capable. Thoughts on people's concern that he's too short, says Salah Ahmed. I haven't got any concerns about that, to be honest with you. Will you be disappointed if David De Gea is sold this summer, says Salah? Yeah, I will. I mean, I'm a big fan of David De Gea. I mean, if he goes with Henderson, he goes with Henderson, but I would be very, very disappointed about that. The Woodward thing was last night, so it's not April Fool's, by the way, and also it's not April Fool's when I said I don't think it's going to happen either, so it's not an April Fool's joke, because it happened before midnight. So yes, we'll see what happens with the centre defensive midfield position, but I think if we bring in a proper CDM, you will see a different Scott McTominay, a different Donny van der Beek, and a different Paul Pogba if he stays, which I don't think he will, allowing somebody to get forward. Luke says a pivot of Pogba and Grilch. We're not going to get. Well, Pogba's not going to be here, is he? So I think we need to forget about Paul Pogba. And if he stays, we can deal with that and treat it as a positive. But for me, I'm thinking Paul Pogba's gone. But if Pogba does go, I agree with a few people in the live comments. Sabitzer would be a good signing in there. I like Kessie. There's mention of Camavinga. I mean, just to mention Camavinga, we talk about Mino Raiola being a super agent. I mean, Jonathan Bartlett, who's Gareth Bale's agent, he was speaking to The Athletic saying it's going to be a massive summer. I've got some of the best players in the world, Jack Grealish, Camavinga. This is the football now. These super agents are bigger than football clubs, and football has allowed this to happen, and they won't be able to change it now. There are agents with some of the best players in the world, and they're running football. Running football with an I after the U, definitely. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. And also, Denton makes a good point. If we did buy Camavinga, he's a teenager. Ollie would probably sit him on the bench and still play McFred. So there you go. Oh, actually, I just want to bring this in. Very good point before we move on to the centre-back situation. Also in The Athletic, I saw this article today. In fact, I'll read it out just to get you the exact quote. So again, this is from The Athletic and it's Laurie Whitwell. Solskjaer encourages players to be bold on the ball in sessions, but the churn of fixtures has limited time to develop a tactical work. And last summer's circumstances meant the usual work that goes on behind the scenes preparing for a campaign could not happen. Sorry, you know where I sit on Solskjaer. I want him to be successful. I don't want him to be sacked. I agree he should get a new contract, and I'm behind him until May, and let's see what happens in the summer. That's my stance. I'm sure many people agree with it. I'm sure many people don't. But on this, I have to say it's one of the most lamest excuses I've ever seen put out. Where this is coming from, I mean, it's coming from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic, but where he's getting that information from, you would expect it to be from sources in Manchester United. Are we supposed to swallow this and go, yeah, it's fine? So Solskjaer tells the players to be bold on the ball, but the churn of fixtures has limited his time to develop tactical work. So basically, if I translate that correctly, Solskjaer wants his players to play, basically, what's the biggest issue with Manchester United at the moment? The biggest issue with Manchester United at the moment is we play a back six, we don't move the ball quick enough from back to front, and we don't even move the ball from back to front because most of the players can't pass it. So the players are told to do it, but they don't do it because we've not been able to practice it because we've had loads of games this season. Well, it's a bit like me. I could go outside in the garden and play a bit of basketball. I don't play basketball, but I can practice. And I don't need Michael Jordan to come round to my yard and say, this is how you do it. Because if I keep playing basketball and throwing it at the hoop, I will get better. Without any coaching, I will get better. Manchester United have played countless games. Ollie's saying to these players to be bold, but they can't be bold because although they're playing loads of games where they can keep trying to do it, we need more more tactical work. I mean, come on, what a load of crap. What are we playing, a game of football, or are we playing a game of bloody Rubik's Cube? It's football. It's passing the ball forward 30 yards, or 5 yards or 10 yards. It's not taking 3 touches. I could speak to Manchester United ahead of the Brighton game and get us playing quicker football. I absolutely believe that, and so could you, because it's basic. All I would say to McTominay and Fred, if they're going to play, I'd say, when you get the ball, I don't want you to take 2 touches, and I don't want you to be on the ball any longer than 3 seconds, and I want you to try and pass forward. That's all I would say. I'd say if the pass isn't on, by all means give it back to Maguire, but don't start doing little pirouettes on the ball. Don't start dribbling into danger. What I want you to do is get the ball, take a touch and pass it forward. That's all I want you to do this game, and keep doing it. That you don't need a summer holiday to bloody Qatar or Dubai to do tactical drills. Tuchel came into Chelsea and within a week they were playing their way. Brendan Rodgers came into Leicester a year ago and within a week or two they were playing his way. Frank Lampard came into Chelsea and instantly in that first year got them playing his way. You cannot say we're not moving the ball effectively from back to front because we've had too many games to do tactical work. What a load of shite. What a load of shite that is. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's a load of bollocks. We're not asking them to start playing the Pep way with a false nine. We're asking them to pass the ball forward. Like, we're asking them to not take 4 touches and pass and do crab football. This has not been affected by having to play 3 games a week for the last few months. Just some of the stuff that gets thrown out. I think they think some United fans are thick. Yeah, well, we can't play forward passes because we've not been able to train for a few weeks. No. Ollie's tactics is give it to Bruno and Pogba, Rashford, then hope they create or score something to Salah. I wish it was Salah. I really wish it was, because that would be a good tactic. That's exactly what we want to happen. I've got no problem with that. When McFred get it, or Matic and Fred get it, I don't want you doing 3 touches and then passing it to each other or backwards. When you get that ball, within the first 3 seconds, I want it into the feet of Pogba or Bruno or Rashford ahead of you. I'd be happy with that. I'd love to see us doing that. We saw it with... it's my highlight of the season. Fred got the ball in the middle, instantly passed it into Bruno, who fed Greenwood, who nearly scored a great goal. That's exactly what I want to see happening. What I don't want to see happening is the back 6 passing it around amongst themselves while the opposition get back into position, and then we're like, what do we do now then? Do another sideways pass. It's very, very simple to improve how we're playing, and you can't say it's because we've not had time on the pitch, because how we improve is quite basic. And also, let's be honest with you, a lot of it comes down to having good players, because you wouldn't need time on the training ground if you had a Michael Carrick at CDM or a Fabinho or someone like that. The problem is a lot of it comes down to the quality of player that we've got. They just can't do it. And that's probably something I would sympathise with Solskjaer and his coaches, is you can tell players to do it, but if they can't do it, then that's the problem. So there may well be effective coaching on telling them what to do, but if they can't do it, they can't do it. It's like saying to, I don't know, who's the crappiest striker you can think of? Trying to think. It's like saying to Timo Werner, go and score me 30 goals in a season. That's exactly what Chelsea asked him to do. He can't do it. So, telling our midfield, get the ball and move it forward, I could tell them constantly to do it, but they're not necessarily going to be able to do it, because and why should they be able to do it? Because if you could turn any player into anything, you'd never need to spend any money. You'd just go, right, let's get the cheapest crap we can buy and we'll just turn them into a good player. I do like Timo Werner, by the way, but he ain't going to score 30 goals for Chelsea, is he, at the moment? Yeah, so let's move on to the centre-back situation. Please smash a like on the video if you're watching, by the way. We're back. The international break is in the bin. We've got the Brighton preview this afternoon live. I can't wait. I'm really excited to have football back, and we're back playing Sunday night, but that'll fly by. It's Easter weekend as well. The centre-back situation. I just wanted to say, first of all, yet again, I watched the England game last night. I mean, for me, Southgate is a Poundland Ollie. I mean, his football is if you think we're boring, God, England are a diabolical. I know they won last night, but so they should win. They had much the better team. And this is something I agree with United fans who are critical about the way we play. The issue we have at Manchester United, and the issue England have way more, is that, are you tired of... I saw England-Poland last night and I saw this, right? England have got a way better team than Poland, but Poland play better football, because they're coached better. Manchester United have got a way better team than most teams that we play, but a lot of the time you'll see the team we play playing better football. That's the frustration. We know we've got the players and we know we should be winning, and we do win a lot of games, but we should be playing a better brand of football, and that's England's problem as well. They play so crap for the players that they've got. It's so negative and defensive. But you can get that from Southgate because he's a bloody ex centre back, isn't he? Solskjaer is an ex striker who used to come off the bench, doesn't use subs, and doesn't play attacking football, which is an oddity that needs to improve. But no, what I was going to talk about is the centre back situation, because there are some rumours about Varane this morning. There's also a Roma centre back that we've been linked to, and on Maguire, I think again, he scored the winning goal for England. He played very well last night. He didn't make the mistake Pebbles did. So I thought Maguire played well last night. And again, it makes me laugh. I think some people think I don't like Harry Maguire, which is weird, because if you watch the United stand, you'll know that I have been very critical of Maguire. But since Christmas, I've pretty much had his back and said, look, I don't like it when he plays with Lindelof. I think they panic each other. But when Harry Maguire plays with a decent centre-back, I think he becomes a decent centre-back. And a centre-back partnership, to be fair, is the most excuse position you've got, that you can be bad with one partner and really good with another. You're only as good as the partnership you play. And I thought Harry Maguire, like yesterday, I know Stones made the mistake, but Stones is better than Lindelof. And I think that, he looked happy in that relationship. And Maguire looked good. Reminded me when he plays with Eric Bailly. So I think Harry Maguire played well for England over the international break. And he played well last night. All right, Lewandowski was injured. But he looked confident, he looked happy. And, are we going to see that Harry Maguire for Manchester United now? I don't know, because I think he's going to be playing with Lindelof again. I really wish we could just play Harry Maguire with Eric Bailly. But this is why we need to buy a centre-back, because I think if we see Harry Maguire with a proper centre-back, you'll see a better Harry Maguire. It's not rocket science. I think it's very, very, very clear. I've seen some people saying this morning, I wouldn't swap Harry Maguire for the world. He's an elite centre-back. I think Harry Maguire is a very good centre-back when he plays with a good centre-back. I think Harry Maguire, as the king centre-back, is not £80 million. The problem with Harry Maguire is we bought Van Dijk, but we actually got a 50 million centre-back. Harry Maguire was bought as a centre-back that was meant to be our Van Dijk. He was meant to be the centre-back that is elite, that he can play with anybody and we're going to be fine. What we've seen with Harry Maguire is a very good centre-back, but he must be played with somebody that complements him. So if we bought in a centre-back like a Koundé or a Varane this summer, I'd be very happy with them playing with Maguire, because I think you'd get a really good partnership and you'd get a really good Harry Maguire. The problem we've got is that you put Harry Maguire with a Lindelof, and I think that impacts on Maguire. Maguire needs somebody next to him who complements him, who's got the attributes he hasn't got. What do you think about 5-a-side pictures they post, says John O'Neill? Who? I don't know what you're on about. So yeah, but there is talk out of Madrid. Madrid, again, it's a bit like Manchester City and Chelsea. Madrid's summer is apparently Alaba, Mbappe and Haaland. Good luck with that, but at least that's what they're selling as trying to do. But they're going to have to raise funds. There is a feeling that they can't keep Varane as well as Ramos and Alaba coming in, and that Varane will be looking to go, which opens the door to Manchester United. Of course it does. And even Romano said yesterday, Fabrizio Romano on his podcast, said keep an eye on the Varane situation when talking about Manchester United. But keep an eye doesn't mean it's going to happen. I would love Varane to come to Manchester United. For me, it's Varane or Koundé. That one of those two, and I'll be very, very happy. But I feel we've got to get one of those two, because one of those two will make us a better side. I think if you're going for one of them, you're going to go for Varane. Of course you are. The better experience, the better player. But very difficult for United to do. I think Real Madrid are going to look for 60 million for Varane, and I think Sevilla are going to look for 60 million for Koundé. And as long as United allocate that 60 million, they might get it down to 50. They might get it down to 50 in this market. But they've got to. If that's what it's going to cost, that's what you've got to do. Wages aren't an issue, because we're going to clear some big wages this summer. So that's the choice that Manchester United need to go with. I think it's Varane or Koundé. Now, personally, I think Varane will probably end up going to PSG and not Manchester United if he does leave Real Madrid. But that's the conversation. And it feeds lovely into what we was talking about Harry Maguire there. Harry Maguire, I know some of you would sell Harry Maguire. So I know some people just will never turn their opinion round about Harry Maguire. But I think in Harry Maguire, with the right centre-back, you've got to give it another season. I think The Lindelof-Maguire relationship, rest in peace. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Doesn't mean get rid of each player, but get rid of that partnership. We can't use that next season. Next season, I think Lindelof will still be here. I think Maguire will still be here. But we need that elite centre-back to play next to Maguire. And I think next season, if Maguire starts making mistakes again, then maybe you say, you've been here 3 years, you're not good enough. But I definitely want to see him next season with a top-class centre-back next to him. And I think we'll see a better Manchester United. And then an elite CDM would be perfect as well. It's April Fool's Day. Yeah, but we're not covering April Fool's, Braden. There's no April Fools in this show today, apart from the shit at the start I was joking about. Mark, what Cameron says, what if the £70 million transfer budget is all a ploy, so clubs would be willing to sell players for less to United when really we have a £200 million transfer budget? Cameron, I love your positivity, but you're talking out your ass. We haven't got £200 million to spend. However, it's not all negative. It isn't all negative. The reality is United probably have about 100 million. And 100 million is quite a lot of money. I don't know whether Arsenal have got that. I don't know whether Southampton have got that. But we're Manchester United, and I definitely know that Chelsea and Man City have got more than that. And maybe Everton have got that. And maybe Leicester have got that. So it is a lot of money, but it's not... We've got money to spend this summer. We're not totally we can't sit here and say we're not doing any business. We've got no money. We've got about 100 million. And that probably includes sales. I don't think we're going to get any more than 100 million. So if Lingard goes or one of the goalkeepers go or Pogba goes, I still don't think we'll spend any more than 100 million. But that's not enough. And the problem that Solskjaer has got and the problem that Manchester United have got is 100 million will not fill all the holes in that team. 100 million will not get you a top-class centre-back, a top-class CDM, a top-class right winger and a top-class striker. It's not going to do it. So they've got to allocate their funds. And to be honest with you, if the situation is you've got £100 million to spend, what would you do with that? Would you spend 60 on a centre-back and 40 on a striker? Would you spend 40 on a centre-back and 60 on a CDM? That United have basically... the last thing you want to do is spend 20 on each and get a load of shite. So I think for me, I would do 60 on I would do 50-50. 50 on a CDM, 50 on a centre-back. And a little bit of movement either way maybe. But, ideally I want Declan Rice and Koundé or Declan Rice and Varane. That would be my summer done. I know we've got holes. I know we have. But if you can't feel, as I said... If that's all you've got, I'm getting a centre-back and a CDM because I think those two positions will make us a better team next season. Yes, we're going to be reliant on Greenwood stepping up as a number 9. We're going to have to use Dan James off the right and hope that Diallo and Pellistri come through. But I just think those two positions would make us so much better. On the United official pages, they post pictures of winning five-a-side team. Usually has a few players who never get a minute of first-team football, says John. Oh, yeah, I saw Matic and everyone like that. People like that though, John. People love to see Matic and that saying we won at five-a-side. Look, I could post pictures of myself saying I beat myself at darts. It would get likes on Insta. It would. It's happy news, John. People like that sort of thing. So I can't knock it. What I look at when I see those pictures is who's fit. Like Cavani's been playing, so he's fit for Sunday. Martial's fit for Sunday. He was on the bench for France last night, which is good news. Could we not buy Ronaldo for striker option? Matic, Mata and Cavani wages would cover Ronaldo. Also, what does Ollie actually do? He doesn't train. He said he's not with the squad that much. Genuine question. He's a man manager, Jack. That's what he is. And Sir Alex Ferguson used to be quite similar, to be fair. Just swap Pogba for Varane, Jesse plus 50 million for Rice, then sell all the other deadwood to raise 70, 80 and buy Sancho. We'd have a good squad next season. I'll take that. I'll take that and party Gabriel Noel. So what? Swap Pogba for Varane? Yes. Jesse plus 50 million for Rice? Yes. Then sell all the deadwood and raise 70 to 80 for Sancho. Yeah, I'd do that. Look, everybody's talking about Sancho. I know Flex spoke about it on the Tuesday night show with KG. Don't sleep on Jadon Sancho coming to Man United. The feeling is it's probably not going to happen, but don't sleep on it. We spent a lot of time last summer, didn't we, talking about that player, expecting that player to come. Do you really think it's over? It could be over, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets reignited. Haaland's not going to happen. Somebody just said there just before I do the other two super chats, can you talk about Erling Haaland? I'll talk about that after the super chats. Let me just do these. Declan Rice and Koundé incoming. Pogba swap for Ronaldo. Van der Beek to replace Pogba role in the squad. Do you think this will work? Humish, I'd give it a go. I'd sign up for that. Don't forget the 50 million for the Ed Woodward mark, says James Smith. Please smash a like on the video. We're nearly at 1,000 likes, by the way. But yeah, going back to that point on Haaland, I mean, I suppose I get it. I do get it. He's one of the best strikers in the world. I understand why United fans would want him. But I think where the irresponsibility comes from here is that I read certain news outlets and they're constantly putting Manchester United attached to Haaland. He's the priority. Yeah, Man City is a priority for them, but he is for Man United as well. And I just think, at what point do you actually start being responsible in your reporting? Like, at what point do you stop selling fans down the river? Like, you know, I know this is a news show and we have to talk about Van der Beek's swap, but I will always give my honest opinion on where we are with that. And look, there are reports in Italy constantly about Van der Beek. You can't deny that, and it's coming from multiple sources. Manchester United say that they're happy with Van der Beek and he's not going to be sold effectively. But that's now in March. The summer will be very different. That this could be the start of something that then becomes something in the summer with Van der Beek. I hope it doesn't, but it could be. So, you know, it could happen. Van der Beek leaving Man United could happen. I think we all know that. Haaland coming to Manchester United won't happen. But yet we get this constant drivel of, yeah, he's a priority for United. United's priority is Haaland. And there's no responsible reporting attached to it. There's nothing about how could we do that deal? Why would we do that deal? Where would we get the money from that deal? Why would Haaland come to Manchester United and play for a team that's, you know, not going to suit him? None of that. Just he's a priority. Haaland priority. That'll get us a few clicks. And it's like, look, I'm sure we've done a thumbnail where it says Haaland is Ollie's priority, because that's the news story. But when you click the video, you're going to get my honest opinion on it, or Flex's, or your honest opinion that, yeah, look, we can't hide the fact that United, Haaland is their priority apparently, but it's a load of bollocks. Nobody's actually saying what's really happening with that. Rooney and Sanchez wages could have paid for Haaland. Swap deal for Pogba and him. But see pigs fly before that happens, says Lewis. Yeah, but Pogba's not going to go to Dortmund. Mason Mount over or underrated, says Ben Martial. I think he's starting to get rated. I think fans who like players will always overrate a player, and I think players that, you know, I think he's underrated, to be fair, Mason Mount. I think he's a good player, Mason Mount. But the thing about Mason Mount is, I mean, I'm not comparing him to Donny van der Beek, but I was just thinking there, would you like Mason Mount to be at Manchester United? Yes, I would. I want to see this. I want to see, like, the holding midfielder, Pogba, Bruno, and then maybe a Mason Mount off the right-hand side and a Rashford off the left. Because at the moment, our wingers are very similar. Quick, not very creative. I want to see something different. You know, like City do it. They'll put Bernardo Silva on the wing and he's a little bit different to Sterling, and you get a bit of a balance there. I think Mason Mount off the right with us interchanging with Bruno would be really good. But hello, Van der Beek could be doing that, and that's what I'd like to see. If the Hammers get European football, Rice will stay. He wants to be in London, has said so himself, and he'll more likely go to Chelsea, says Dana. Yeah, but am I not right in saying, Dana, that that Chelsea are linked to a Brazilian centre defensive midfielder? I don't think Chelsea are going to go for Declan Rice. They might do, and if they do, they'll get him, and he wants to go there. But if he doesn't get Chelsea this summer, he probably will stay at West Ham for another year. But that's Man United's opportunity. If West Ham don't get European football and Chelsea don't go for Declan Rice, and he has a good Euros, he's going to want to leave. I think, well, he might want to leave. I think our biggest weakness is still right back. We have a player at the minute who can't cross a road. His attacking play is almost non-existent and won't improve, says Ben. Well, United definitely do want to bring in a right back competition. You know, that's why we've been linked to Kieran Trippier. Reece James is better than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. What do you think, says Ben Marshall? I agree. I do agree. I'm sorry, but there's club loyalty and there's realistic. I don't actually think Aaron Wan-Bissaka should be in the England squad. That's a challenge for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Luke Shaw should have played for England at left back last night. I mean, Southgate's a prat. I'm sorry. He is a boring waistcoat football manager. That is what he is. He's boring. And he makes bad decisions. I think Grealish should be a starter for England. I don't think he'll even take him to the Euros. He'll probably take Eric Dyer so he can have another bloody defender. So, I don't trust Southgate. I don't rate Southgate. I don't think he's very good. But how do you pick Ben Chilwell, who doesn't really start for Chelsea? He's an apron. He's good going forward, but he's wide open at the back. How do you pick Ben Chilwell over Luke Shaw? So I don't trust what Southgate does. I mean, he drops Trent Alexander-Arnold for not playing well, but then takes Eric Dyer, who's been shite. It's a contradiction. It's a waistcoated contradiction. And England will win nothing with him playing like that, defensive coach. But what I would say is that I wouldn't take Wan-Bissaka to the Euros. I wouldn't pick Wan-Bissaka. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James, Kyle Walker, Kieran Trippier, they're all better right-backs than Wan-Bissaka at the moment. I think Wan-Bissaka defensively is better than all of them, but being a modern-day fullback, you've got to get forward. And I think Luke Shaw's been a revelation. He's one of the best fullbacks in the world at the moment. And Wan-Bissaka has been overplayed. He should have had some competition. I would have given Brandon Williams or Twan Sebi some game time just to give him a little bit of a kick up the backside, but he is struggling a little bit. I don't think Wan-Bissaka's as bad as people think. I still think he's a very steady right back, but he's not one of the best right backs in England at the moment, and he's got no right to say that he is, because there is improvement to be had in his game. But I think Wan-Bissaka will improve. He's had a difficult year post-COVID. Before lockdown, he was good. He came out and then he's been a bit inconsistent. No one worth mentioning is coming in the summer. We might get another panic buy, just creating unrealistic expectations to be let down like last year, says Keegan. Well, I think Manchester United are going to have a very big summer. And when I say a very big summer, it might not necessarily be all good news. Mark says Brighton's midfield pivot is better than ours. It's embarrassing. I think that there's a case to be said that most midfields in the Premier League are arguably better than our midfield at the moment. It's a key position, and I will take the positive that we are looking to bring in somebody to play in that position. That's a positive to me. Whether we can do it or not, I don't know. Do you see a future for Donny van der Beek, says Dia? Well, I'll ask the live comments there. I think that's a good point. Please subscribe, by the way, bottom right-hand corner. We've got the live subscriber count in the top left-hand corner. So please subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and smash a like. I want to talk about swap deals in a minute because somebody said that. Do you think Donny van der Beek's got a future at Manchester United? Well, a lot of people are saying yes, but is that your decision, or do you actually think he's got a future under this regime? I think he's definitely got a future at Manchester United, 100% in my opinion, but I worry about the last year. He's not played anywhere near enough football. There are people that are there are people that are worse than him that have played way more. That's never right. You've got to get your best players into the team. And look, all I ever hear is this nonsense about, well, it was always accepted that it would take a bit of adjustment to come over from the Air Division into the Premier League. Well, of course it's going to take adjustment, but you've got to play the lad to get adjusted. He ain't going to get adjusted playing FIFA, is he? Oh, look, Ollie, last night I was online for 5 hours playing Ultimate Team, but I used all the Man United players and I was playing a lad from England. I'm adjusting. No, he's got to be on the pitch. He needs to be on the pitch. You don't adjust in training. You adjust by playing. So this, again, it's a bit like the whole we can't play attacking football because we haven't had time to train. What a load of rubbish. Donny van der Beek needed time to adjust to the Premier League. He's only going to adjust by playing games. He can't adjust by going having fish and chips down the road. He can't adjust by hanging around with Mancunians. He's got to play football in the Premier League to adjust. And that's the contradiction. I accept that it might take him some time, but he's only the clock hasn't even started yet because we're not playing him. He's got to play football. How can Donny van der Beek be overrated when he hasn't played, says Salah Ahmed? Well, yeah, exactly. He can be called a flop, but he can't be called overrated because he hasn't been playing. I do see a future provided we get a CDM in the team, says Cape Town, South Africa. Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry a minute. I'm just going to have to stretch my back because it's tired there. Thank you very much. Not that I had to ask. Few people talking about Paul Pogba and swap deals. I mean, look, we're almost at the anniversary of, I think we were the first channel to get Fabrizio Romano on a fan channel a year ago, weren't we? We were speaking about, I'll always remember that conversation because he said that, watch out for swap deals. And I think he was ahead of the game, Fabrizio. It didn't really happen that summer transfer window, but I feel maybe last summer's transfer window is going to be the summer we thought this summer. So I think this summer will be the summer we thought was going to happen last summer, where French league has to start cashing in because they've lost money from their TV deal, where swap deals happen because clubs don't have money but they have assets. I'd like to see that happen. I'm wide open for that, really am. I think that that sounds a bit wrong, but I am open to that in the sense that, look, maybe maybe Pogba says he's going and Man United do a swap deal. You know, that rather than trying to figure out how much he's worth, and some clubs saying we'll give you 20 and we want 60, maybe you hide the fee within a swap deal. So that I'd like to see that. You know, maybe we do something with Lingard that involves a swap. Maybe we do something with a goalkeeper that involves a swap. There's three assets there. Whichever goalkeeper goes, Jesse Lingard and Paul Pogba, they're three very big assets that you could involve in swap deals and get good things in return. I mean, look, what we can't swap bloody Lingard for Tyrone Mings, and we can't swap Paul Pogba for bloody Josh King at Everton. But look, you could do something with Pogba and Juventus. You could do something with Pogba and Real Madrid. You could do something with Pogba and PSG. You could do something with David De Gea in PSG or Atletico Madrid. You could do or Henderson. You could do something with Spurs or Chelsea. You know, not Chelsea. They've got a goalkeeper, but you could do something with Lingard. Of course, you could do it with West Ham. You could do it with Leicester. So there are things that can be done with the swap deals, and that's what I would like to see happen. But my only concern with swap deals, and I've said it before, I think the football world is open to swap deals, and I think a lot of people would do swap deals with us. But as I've said before, I don't know whether you've ever played Football Manager. You know when you sell a player in Football Manager, like, so imagine I sold, I don't know, Fred for 30 million, right? I'll get an email then saying, well done for selling Fred for 30 million. We've allocated you 8 million from the 30. Where's the 22 gone? Dividends. So that's the problem for swap deals. If Man United swap Pogba for somebody, it works as a footballing reason because you get a good player in and Pogba's out and, you know, fine. But it doesn't work for the people who want to make money out of us, because if you sell Pogba for 40 million, they can take 10, 15, 20 million themselves and just give Ollie 20 and they've made 20 million. If you swap Pogba for a player, where's the money to go to the owners? You know, and that's the problem. I don't think United will do swap deals because they want money to come into the club. My gut feeling for CDM is Matic will move on and be replaced by Garner. Not suggesting it's the best option, but I think it's the most feasible, says Dara. Well, look, I read the interview with Garner. He ain't ready. He's not ready for that. I don't think he even wants to be a CDM necessarily, but he ain't ready for that. Who can we swap Jones with, says Mikael Roach. Well, there is this charity shop that might take him, but we won't get anything in return. Who's going to swap Phil Jones? Seriously, like, he's injured. He's been injured for over a year. Like, he's actually been injured for over a year. It's scary. It's scary how a player can be injured for a year and get given a 5-year contract on 80 grand a week. It's ridiculous. And look, people say, oh, you're bantering Phil Jones. He's bantering us. It's nothing personal against the player. I think he could sit there and accept. He's probably very pissed off with how much he's been injured through his career. It must be horrible, actually, because, you know, I mean, look, we'd all love to be a professional footballer. I'm sure there's not a lot of sympathy. But if you actually are a professional footballer, to spend most of your time injured must be very, very frustrating. But the reality is, from a business point of view, he'd been injured a long time before we gave him a 5-year deal. I mean, that's, you know, we talk about Woodward being sacked. Should he not be sacked off that alone? You gave Phil Jones a 5-year contract, and in the previous 5 years, you know, he'd had more injuries than a casualty extra. And you give him a 5-year deal. I mean, what sort of prat are you? The best prat we've ever had. Yeah. So, yeah, it is interesting. But look, first name, last name says Sabitzer and Kessie. There's plenty of deals for United to do this summer. That's the positive. That whether you want a striker, whether you want a CDM, whether you want a right winger, whether you want a centre back or a right back, there are loads of options. In some ways, it's about getting the right option, but in more ways, it's about what are the funds we've got. If we had a decent football club that was run effectively with a decent director of football and a decent board, we could be really creative and come out of that summer with everything we need. Unfortunately, we know what we've got and we know what to expect. Mark, did you see we are linked to Twan Sebi? He would be more appreciated at our club. Gabriel and him would be what a partnership, says Zane. I tell you what, I think Twan Sebi would be a great signing for Arsenal. But I wish we'd use him. I really do. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video. I'm back this afternoon with a preview, so make sure that you're subscribed, bottom right hand corner. You've got your notifications on by clicking the bell. And we will be live this afternoon with a Premier League preview at about about 2 o'clock, 2:30 this afternoon. Premier League preview on the United Stand. Can't wait for that. 8 o'clock show as well. We're back, baby, and we're excited. That's got to be worth smashing a like on the video. But no, Martial's not injured as well. I think that's good news. So we've got Cavani back, we've got Martial back. Maybe Rashford's not back, but do we need to rush Rashford back when we've got Martial and Cavani back? I don't think we necessarily do. Let's use Van der Beek. I'll show you how I'd pick the team anyway. Speak to you all in a bit. Take care and stay safe.